Raj and rest of the people related to sex.
So let us begin by saying, first of all, that we, as an organisation, unequivocally condemn what's happened in Rotherham and what has happened in Telford and in some of these other places. It's abhorrent behaviour, we condemn it. But let me say equally, unequivocally, that what we find very troubling, very disappointing, is some of the rhetoric that started to emerge at the more senior levels, whether it be generic or others, around the British Pakistani community and the way in which the behaviour of a few is essentially ending up stigmatizing an entire community.
The height of the Pakistanis were under attack, but there was hardly any mention in media of his religion.
The data and the Home Office's own report from a few years ago has very clearly said there is no link that can be drawn, at least based on the evidence that we have at the minute or the data that we have at the minute, between ethnicity and the sorts of crimes that we're talking about in the context of sexual grooming, right? So these things are happening, and like I say, we condemn them unequivocally, but when they are taken out of context, they can have some very real and dangerous consequences for people. So yes, people are feeling unsafe off the back of that.
When it was the terrorism thing, we've been facing the same thing. The last right thing, Pakistani community been targeted as well.
And I think it's really dangerous to focus in on one aspect of what has happened in these towns. There was a lot that enabled those men. There was corruption within the police force. It was a class issue. There are so many other factors that are part of this complex issue that's arisen. And so, if there needs to be another inquiry into it, then we're all for that. But I think picking out the ethnicity of these men, when to date there isn't any data to back up that link, based on the Home Office's own report, I do take issue with.
Just endorse that. So how would we condemn?
Our issue is not that the fact that there is this problem within certain pockets of the British Pakistani community is being talked about. It was wrong, it needs to be talked about. What we take issue with is the way in which it's being talked about and the way in which British Pakistani men are being singled out as, perpetrators of sexual abuse, when actually the problem is much more nuanced than that. And there are lots of factors that heighten the risk of sexual abuse. Most of child sexual abuse takes place in the home. And there is a report that came out that had 20 recommendations that was, the objective of which was actually to help the victims. And yet we're not talking about the fact that none of those recommendations were actioned. What we're latching onto is that there was a pocket within a community and politicizing that to cause division and distraction.
He stated first on Twitter